All right, I'm delighted to say we've got Mona McSharry here. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well.
It's been an absolutely amazing year for you. Have you stopped to think about it at all, or are you kind of still in the middle of it?
I have stopped to think about it kind of afterwards, and now it's kind of in the past. You know, when you start a new season, you kind of just forget what happened in the old season, and that is the way it was for me. I think until you kind of finish your career, you don't really realise, you know, what you've done, because, you know, once you finish something, there's always the next thing, and, you know, there's the next thing you're looking forward to. So that's kind of, I did stop and I did realise, you know, wow, how amazing this is, especially with all the support I had when I got home, you know, all the homecomings and everything. But yeah, it's just a new season now.
So in August you won the World Junior Championships. You won 2 medals.
Yeah. And
nearly got a 3rd.
Yeah, nearly.
An amazing week.
Yeah, no, it was one of the best, you know, weeks of my life, really. You know, it was tough and it was hard going, but it was just such an amazing time for me because it's what I love doing, and I did so well. Swimming
is one of those sports where you kind of have a fair idea of how you're going to do heading into it, and that, like, you know, you're in the ballpark of winning or medaling or being competitive because of the times you're putting up in training. So was there a serious level of expectation, pressure on yourself coming from within, and the training that you've been doing, thinking, you know, I could do that here?
Yeah, I think there was, especially after European, you know, after I did so well at Europeans, I myself and thought, you know, everyone else is kind of watching me now, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to, you know, to do well and, you know, to get to the top. So it was difficult, and it was a challenging couple of weeks to try and stay positive and, you know, realise that, you know, the work I'm doing is enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely it is, you know, you kind of do know where you are, but at the same time, you're not sure because it could all go wrong or it could all go right on the day.
Especially, again, it's one of those sports where, you know, you don't get in the pool properly, or you get in your own head for half a second and the race is gone. So you've got to do everything right, and you've got to have the process in place. How did you get good at that kind of stuff? How did you learn how to build your own processes and kind of think your way through those issues?
Well, it's all practice, really. Practice makes perfect, you know, and it's very important that you do kind of figure out what's good for you, because it's different for everyone. Like, I've got a really set routine, you know, before I, you know, get onto the block, and, you know, I have stuff that I need to do and I feel I need to do to, you know, be prepared. And it's very important that you don't, you know, kind of go out of what you're doing. You can't lose concentration for a second, because every split second counts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is all practice. You know, you have to make sure you're doing it right in training, and then you will do it right in competition.
What kind of stuff do you need to do before you get on the block? Is it superstitions, or is it like talking through the visualizations? Is it more scientific?
Visualizations would be kind of in the call room before I walk out, and then before I walk out, I kind of, you know, I take off my clothes at a certain time, and, you know, and then I do certain warm-ups, you know, just to make sure I'm heated up, and it's always the same. And then I'll always splash myself with water before my race. You know, there's just deep breathing, all that stuff that, you know, everyone thinks, okay, it's, you know, it's tiny, but for me it just all adds up to being ready when I get on the block.
Yeah, it's funny, reading about the All Blacks, Richie McCaw used to, whenever he felt he was getting too angry, he would kind of put his arm around his wrist and try and start thinking from the blue side of his brain again. And loads of people dismiss that stuff as complete nonsense, but Richie McCaw then goes on to captain the team to win the World Cup, and there's a bit of calmness about them in the last couple of minutes. I mean, you can argue the toss either way or another, but you know, some of the world's best athletes who have achieved great things find that they need to do those things. So are you reading that kind of stuff? Are you getting help with that kind of stuff? Or are you just developing that on your own? How does that work?
I'm developing it mostly on my own, because it is, you know, it's whatever I think is right. And, you know, you kind of just have to test that as well. You know, it is trial and error with that too. You know, like, I have a huge breathing problem that I get kind of, you know, overwhelmed, or I feel like I can't breathe before my race, and I'm not sure why it happens, but it's very important for me to, you know, deep breathing and make sure I'm getting the air in, because I probably am, but I feel like I amn't, and for me mentally I need to, you know, be right, and my coach helps me with that. You know, we do a couple of deep breathing exercises and stuff, so in that, you know, she does help me there, but it's mostly, you know, myself kind of figuring out what I need.
It's a pretty amazing thing to be able to overcome. Like, a lot of people would feel that they need the outside help of a sports psychologist or somebody like that to get over that, but you've managed to think your way through it.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it's something that, you know, it still kind of bothers me a bit, you know, before races, but I kind of just have to get on with it and, you know, figure out, you know, how is the best way that I can overcome this. And, you know, my coach is amazing for that. You know, she does help me with everything, and I feel like I have kind of sorted the problem.
Yeah.
If it comes back, we may need to look into other, you know, ideas, but at the moment it's...
So you're 17, right?
Yeah, I am.
Still living in Grange in Sligo.
Yeah.
What does the future hold? Like, do you go to America to go to college? Do you stay in Ireland? And what is the pathway for somebody who is as good as you are at 17 right now?
Well, my plan myself in my head right now would be, you know, to finish my leaving cert in 2019 and then take a year out before the Olympics in 2020 and just train from home, because it's going so well for me.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think I might do 4 years in college, and I'm not quite sure yet. I would love to go to America, but I'm keeping my options open at the moment.
Yeah, I guess you have plenty of time to be worrying about
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
It's nice to have those options. Like, I mean, I presume most of the American colleges would be pretty interested in having an Irish Olympian on their books.
I hope, yeah.
That's the plan. To take us back a little bit to the point where you actually realised that getting up at God knows what time every morning, 5 or 6 mornings a week, and driving into Ballyshannon is something that you wanted to do. When did you realise that this was like, you know, I really like this?
Well, I think, you know, I started the early mornings when I was in 6th class, and, you know, that's young enough, but back then it was like it's a big deal, you know, and it was actually a nice thing. I loved getting up in the morning. I jumped out of bed because, you know, you're transitioning from junior to senior in the club, and, you know, you're allowed to get up that early, and you're being asked to come to the early sessions. And then I just built from there, and I'm an early riser anyway, and, you know, it's tough some mornings, especially now that it's cold outside, and you just want to, you know, curl her up and go back to sleep. But it's just, you know, I'm so dedicated, and I really do love the sport that it just, you know, drives me to get up.
So you were obviously pretty good already by the time 6th class came around, that they were asking you to come in early.
Yeah, no, it kind of just built from there. That's when I started, you know, really kind of realising, yes, I am good, and I'm, you know, I started climbing up, because it was only a year then later that I kind of got onto this Swim Ireland. You know, I was on the HP, and, you know, it was great because I was asked to go to Canada, and that was
at like 12 or 13.
13, yeah.
Right.
So that was my first time ever leaving the country, you know, without my parents, and I did so well over there that, you know, it kind of sparked this little thing. You know, like, I love, you know, this traveling. I love going away and, you know, meeting other people, and basically blind racing, because you've no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah, so it's not as if you don't have that sense, I could actually win this yet. You have to get in the pool and do it.
Yeah, exactly. You have no idea who your competitors are until you see them.
Yeah. That's a very strange form of racing for swimmers. I guess now you must look back at that and go, oh, that, like, because if they were to put you in the pool, you would know exactly to the last second who you're up against.
Yeah, exactly. Like, still, you know, even, you know, when you compete in Ireland, you know who you're racing against, and you know how they swim to an extent because you've trained with them, you know, and you know what they're capable of. And even, you know, even if you do know someone's time, and you've never seen them swim, you know, you never know. They might be going faster, they might be going slower.
Yeah.
You just have to wait and see, really.
So, like, it's not a noted swimming stronghold, Grange. It's like you're the first swimmer, I think, to come from there who's reached this level. How did that happen?
I'm not sure, you know, it's really, you know, anyone from anywhere can do whatever they want. It doesn't have to be, you know, from a certain area, you know, and you don't need certain things as long as you're dedicated. That's the most important thing. Normally
there's an amazing coach or parents who kind of are former swimmers, or do you have any of that stuff going on?
A bit of both, you know. I've got an amazing coach, and, you know, she's so good. I've got 2 amazing coaches, and they both work really hard, you know, to get me where I am, and, you know, to put in effort, you know, all the time, so that I feel 100%. And my parents are just amazing, you know, they're fully committed. They drive me here and there, and it's a lot that they have to commit to as well.
Yeah.
But
it's grand for you getting up in the mornings, but they also have to get up.
Yeah, exactly.
And concentrate on the road.
Yeah. You know, I can sleep in the car, but they can't. So no, it's great that they're so committed, you know, and they'll help me along this journey, because I couldn't do it without them.
And did you show promise as a kid? Like, were you kind of a little fish at the age of 5 and 6, kind of like, was it always there, or is this a function of the coaching and the hard work and the dedication as well? Like, what combination of talent and hard work is it?
Well, I actually only started learning how to swim when I was 5, after I nearly drowned in Austria on holiday. But you know,
normally that puts people off.
Yeah, well, I don't remember it. I just parents said, right, we're getting her swimming lessons. So I think after that I just started competing, and I mightn't have been the best as a child. I only really started getting good later. I wasn't a superstar as a kid, but I did enough, and I loved it myself, that, you know, it didn't matter how well I did. It was just, you know, I love the competing side of it. You know, I love the aggression, and I love just, you know, getting in there and racing.
That's interesting, because it means there's probably a bunch of kids in Ballyshannon who'll be like, oh yeah, I beat her when I was 8 or 9, and then suddenly obviously you're like lapping them over 50 metres. But so the competition is the thing that actually inspired you, like that was the thing that you decided that really got you into it?
Yeah, like I started with community games, which, you know, a lot of young kids do start with community games. It's great, I think, for young people to start there and build their way up. And I think, you know, after that I kind of started training with the Marlin Sub Club then after I'd done that, and they started, you know, entering me in competitions and doing proper, you know, real, you know, competitions and all that and different events. And, it, you know, I kind of just learned to love my stroke and love what I was doing. Yeah,
and just talk to us about that then. So you swim, most swimmers tend, unless you're like the 50-metre sprinter exclusives, but you tend to do a bunch of different strokes, particularly earlier in your career as you kind of decide which you're going to be. At what point do you think you'll specialise? Will you ever specialise, or what do you want to do?
I love, like, breaststroke, you know, is the main stroke at the moment. You know, I concentrated solely on breaststroke last year, although I do love the 100 and 200 IM as well, and the front crawl events, you know, and even short snappy events like the 50s. I'll give them all a lash. Like, I'm more of a sprinter at the moment, and I think I will, you know, by time specialise with the 100 breaststroke and maybe the 50 breaststroke, but at the moment I'm still kind of leaving it to the three of them, you know, 100, 200 and 50.
And is part of that because, like, you know, you're clearly already thinking about the Olympic Games, but you just have to, sometimes it's the luck of the draw in terms of the amount of time between events, sometimes it's the level of competition in a specific event. You've got to give yourself enough opportunity to make the Olympic Games, be fully fit, and then go, actually, there's a bit of a soft spot in that draw, I could definitely take that. Is that, like, do you think like that now, or is it just exclusively about, this is who I want to be and I want my identity to be wrapped up in these events?
Yeah, it's more kind of like, you know, these are my events and this is, you know, this is what I could do good in. You know, I try not to look at psych sheets because it doesn't work for me. I get too stressed out and I get too tensed and it just kind of messes with my head a bit before the competition, so I try and kind of stay away and try not look at who's going to be there until I get there. So no, we'd be more picking events on, you know, what we've trained up for, and, you know, yeah.
There's a couple of last points. Grania Murphy obviously was an amazing underage young swimmer who then, for whatever reason, never fully quite fulfilled her potential as a senior. How do you make sure that you kind of learn from other people who've gone before you? Is that something you think about at all?
Yeah, I guess you just, like, it was, you know, Grania Murphy was an amazing swimmer, and it's a pity how it did end, but I guess you do just kind of have to learn from it. But at the same time, you know, she didn't, you know, what happened, you know, was kind of just unexpected, you know, and if you know, some things just happen and you can't help it, you know, so it's all on luck as well. But yeah, you just have to try and stay concentrated and, you know, not be doing things that will, you know, affect you or be detrimental to what you're doing. You just have to, you know, make the right decision. And then the technical side of the sport, because it is highly technical, do you, like, obviously you work very closely with your coaches, do you kind of go outside and seek external input from time to time just to make sure you're going along the right path, or do you just try and create a bubble around you with your current team? No, well, I'm an in-touch athlete and I go up to Dublin quite a bit when I can, and that's a completely different, you know, that'll be a completely different coaching from my coach, and that's great because you get, you know, different inputs, and they might see something that my coach doesn't, or vice versa. And, you know, I get to train with the other athletes, and that is good. I think it's very beneficial because you just kind of, it's a different program as well, so you're just kind of getting out of that. Yeah, I wouldn't be trapping myself in a bubble, trying not to anyway. Mona, tell us about what training you're doing at the moment. Like, what's an average week? An average week would be 17 hours, 12 in the water, and then I also do gym, core and flexibility on top of that, and then I get up at about 4:30 in the morning for an hour and a half or a 2-hour session, and then I'd be done at about 8 o'clock, and then I go to school, and then after that I'll come back in the evening for either another training session or a gym session. So the 12 hours in the pool, is that a mixture of sprint work and endurance, or how does that work? Yeah, I have like 3 or 4 sessions a week that I know are going to be very difficult, like, you know, you horribly painful. But they're the ones that you have to just give 100%, and then you have the other ones which you also are more focused on technique, and you also have to give 100%, but they're more like working on, you know, your strokes and your turns, and both are very important, and you have to, you know, include both, because even I do some distance work just to build up so that I'm not constantly sprinting, even though I am, you know, targeting sprinting, just so that I can, you know, be kind of like built up in all areas. Yeah, and what kind of stuff are you doing in the gym? Mostly weights, and then we do some core stuff as well, and then a bit of power as well. At the moment I'm kind of in a set just building muscle kind of, and then I'll be moving on to a strength program for the next 2 months, 3 months, and then after that it'll be all power.
You kind of have to love this to be able to do all that and go to school at the same time.
Yeah, you really do, and I do love it. Like, you know, it's amazing. I don't even know what I'd do without it, to be honest. Like the 2 weeks that I get off a year, you know, they're amazing because you're not, but at the same time, they're, you know, you don't know what to do with yourself because, you know, you're constantly getting up at, you know, such a time, and you have to go here and you have to go there, that, you know, when you've nothing on, it's just kind of, it's just so, you know, you've nothing to do. It's very boring. Yeah. So for me, that kind of shows me, yeah, okay, I actually do love this because I miss it when I'm not doing it. Okay,
so then you don't have any fear of missing out when your mates are going to gigs or whatever it is that they're doing?
No, I don't, because, yeah, it's a pity, and sometimes, you know, in the moment I will be upset, but when I look back then and I realise, you know, all that I've done and how far I've come, I realise there is a bigger picture here. You know, it's not just about that, and I will have my time when I can, you know, have fun, but right now I need to concentrate. You know.
Was there ever any point earlier in your career before you started to make the breakthrough where you thought, actually, you know what, this is too hard and I'm going to, like, were there ever doubts or moments along the way?
No, I can't say there was. I've never felt like I've wanted to give up the sport. I've never had any issues where I feel like, no, this is not working for me, and I hope I never do, because, you know, I love it so much. But when I do, you know, it's just time to walk away, because I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it, and if I don't, you know, there's no point, really.
Yeah, fair enough. So it's not, the 2 weeks of the year aren't obviously Christmas, are they? That's not when you're downtowns, aren't they? They're like 2 random weeks across the year.
It's 52 weeks in the year, and then we do like a 50-week training program depending on whether, you know, the competitions. Like last year I did a 52-week program and then took 2 weeks off, and that was very long. But this year it'll be kind of just after August, because that's my last competition. I'll take 2 weeks off there. And I get like 2 days at Christmas because the pool's not open, so, you know, we just take them 2 days off as well. Yeah.
They'd probably give you the keys now if you ask for them at this stage, but like you're like, no, I'm not asking for them. It's okay. You can take those 2 days.
Yeah.
So in December you're off to Copenhagen.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm really excited for that. You know, that's about 2 weeks away now, and nearly starting taper, so it should be really interesting.
This is the senior European short course.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And what level of expectation do you have about your ability to compete against the seniors?
Well, you know, this is my first senior meet where I'm actually competing as a senior. I have nothing to fall back on. Like, you know, it used to be just experience, but now, you know, this is where I am now. This is the competitions I will be going to and the people I'll be competing against. It's just to keep, you know, in the zone. Don't be let outer people, you know, disrupt you, and, you know, make sure that I swim well.
Because we hear there's a bit of that in swimming, where like people will step in front of you. You know, if one of your opponents knows that you need to do stuff in a certain order, that, oh, I'm accidentally bumping into you, or they're standing in the wrong way.
Yeah, no, it is intimidating in the call room. You know, if you're not, you have to just have a strong mindset to, you know, stay focused and realise, you know, I just try and imagine I'm the only one in the room, there's no one else there, because if you start looking at what they're doing and go, okay, maybe I should be doing that, you know, you just kind of start to doubt yourself. So really my targets and hopes are that, you know, I'll compete well, and hopefully I'll get it out of the heats and maybe into the final and just see how it goes. Yeah,
because I guess, again, like, you know what time you expect to do, and you also know that if you hit that level you should go to a certain distance in this competition, and that this is really a stepping stone along the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Like, there's a lot of stepping stones along the way, and the big target is 2020 Olympics. So it's really just kind of introducing myself to where I am now and kind of building it from there.
What age do you think you're supposed to peak at as a swimmer?
I'm not really sure. Like, it depends on the person. Like, you've got swimmers like Katinka Husu who are 27, 28, and they're, you know, still, you know, amazing. She's still on top of the leaderboard. So, you know, it really depends on the person. I think I'm only beginning now. I don't think I've peaked yet. I hope I'm still going up, so yeah.
Well, listen, I hope you enjoy your 2 days off at Christmas. Best of luck in Copenhagen. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Hey, hope you enjoyed that latest offering from Off the Ball. If you want to subscribe, and you should, check out just up here. All our latest stuff is just down here. Generally, knock yourself out.